7:00 p.m. I'll call this meeting of the Common Council to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Receive the roll call. Clerk Treasurer Aldridge.
Carolyn Pearson. Present. Richard Trader.
Present.
Dale Stewart.
Here.
Mike Shockley.
Present.
Brian Garrison.
All right. Starting this meeting off, we have a guest speaker. Superintendent Browse is going to tell you a little bit about what they've been doing at the school corporation, maybe some future plans, and then open it up to some questions. So I'll yield the floor to Superintendent Browse.
Thanks. Well, Mayor Evans gave me an hour, so I promise I won't go over an hour. Now, some of the things that have been going on in school, I thought it was important to share a little bit of what we're doing and where we're trying to go in the near future. Over the past couple of years, we've implemented Project Lead the Way as a hands-on based educational process using technology and in other different areas within the realm of education. But taking that into our elementary, we started it 2 years ago, and it's really blossomed. Last year we brought it into our middle school. Our plan was to have a 3-year plan going into the middle school, and that kind of catapulted us further than that. Our middle school has really taken off with that. They're doing a lot of robotic clubs and things like that. You may have seen some of the information in the comment. They shared that. Our high school, they will get it within that plan probably in the next 3 years. The Project Lead the Way will start leading its way into that. And our plan is to go into the engineering side of Project Lead the Way, where our kids will come out of school with college credits like they do now, but instead of it just being the same old math, English, science, AP social studies, stuff like that, we're hoping that we can get them some credits through Ivy Tech, through engineering, or Purdue University. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We are in the process of placing Leader in Me in our middle school. It's been in our elementary school now for the past year. It's based off the 7 habits of Stephen Covey. And I challenge you to look at our elementary Facebook page and see what that is. They've got a lot of great pictures up there on there that talk about all the habits, and it's something that we do in our daily lives. So we're full force on that. Probably seen or heard about our solar project. Our solar project is completely finished with our LED lights in our corporation-wide. The solar project completed last fall, early December. We have the one site down by the armory out in front there, and we have the other site back behind the high school and the middle school. Since it's been completely plugged in and off and running, we're tracking our usage for our schools. Right now, in our first 2 months of this year, based on the energy that we've consumed and the energy we've produced, we've saved close to $75,000 just in our first 2 months. So that is a substantial savings for the school corporation. That money goes back into our general fund, which is part of the general fund that pays for our teachers and our classroom supplies. So hopefully we're putting more money back into our classrooms with that. And we'll see greater increases as we go. So that's where we're at with the solar project. Last summer, not only did we do the solar and the LED, 29 of our classrooms in our elementary school had replacement heating and cooling done to it. The units that we used to have that sat next to the window, and they'd pump out to the middle of the room, and then they'd suck it back in, and they'd pump out to the middle of the room and suck it back in. Those were all replaced with vertical units that go out over the classroom and allow the air to come down, heat and cool the entire room. We're finishing up the last part of that project here in April. A new condensing unit for the air conditioning will be coming into the elementary to take care of that. That unit was over 20 years old life expectancies on those are 8 to 11 years old, so it outlived its lifespan. So that'll be done, and then this summer, our next project is the high school. High school was built 1969, 1971 in that area there, and those are the same pipes that are pumping the water through the buildings. So our project this summer is to take the piping in that building and replace it, and in doing that, what they'll do is all the plaster on the inside of the high school, that plaster will come down and be replaced with drywall, and the pipes will be in and rerouted throughout so that we can have water pressure that's acceptable in the areas, and a little up to date on a lot of those different things. So, threw a lot of things at you. The biggest thing came up here to do, I told Mayor Evans, I'm here to answer your questions on what's going on at the school. So,
Open it up for the city council first and then the public.
Sure.
City council, any questions for the superintendent?
I had a question on, so what was your investment on the solar?
$4.2 million, that included our LEDs as well. And over the course of 20 years, it will be paid for.
How many? 20?
20 years, yes.
I want to first thank you for letting us borrow the buffer to use down at the community building. Whether, a lot of you don't know this, but that's the only place I could find one at the high school. And we took him in as a Lions Club member. And the night he come in, I asked him if I could borrow a buffer. And he said, you have to check with the high school guy. And they gave us the bumper and the pad, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Personally, my opinion is that's a community school, it's community equipment, and we'll help this community in any way that we can.
I thank you.
That's my opinion.
Any other questions for the superintendent from the council?
I had another question.
That's okay.
I think I heard some talk of, sort of working on the swimming pool area.
We're gonna be working on it this summer. We had a leak in the north wall where it sinks down. We had a group come in and fix the leak. They had to, I don't know what they did. On the outside of the wall, they burrowed down. They found where the leak was. They fixed it out there, and then on the inside, they came in and they patched it and fixed that. That was the first issue that we needed to address. This summer, they're going to be repainting the entire inside, and they're putting sound panels up, replacing the ones that had been torn down several years ago to help with the sound in there. Because of that, we had an acoustics engineering group come in to give us an idea of what we needed, and then we have gone out and asked for bids on our painting process, and then we're looking at the bids on our acoustic panels to put back in there. So, and they're draining the pool this summer because it hasn't been drained in over 10 years, and it needs to be thoroughly cleaned. There's some, in the liner, there's some ripples in it and stuff like that, so they're gonna clean everything out in there. So.
Any further questions from the council? The public?
Yes, sir.
Vocational education, when does that start? The new vocational programs, when do those start?
Well, we're looking at several different vocational programs. We're looking at the diesel mechanics, possibly starting up soon. We're looking at adding to our welding department in that area. What else are we doing? Project Lead the Way is part of the vocational program, so that will be actually added in the next 2 to 3 years. We will be looking at taking the old industrial arts area in the back that's now a custodial area, taking that area and renovating it for the Project Lead the Way back there. This year we recently added in our printing department, you know, we have a very robust printing area. That printing area added a whole new certification program through RICO, electronics. All of our teachers in that area were certified this summer to teach that, so they have a base curriculum there. And we're continuing to work with Indian Trails on any programs that they have. We've also looked into having a flight mechanic and another program through Purdue University. Mr. our director for Indian Trails, Jim Stratton, is working on those programs. So,
Good, we need those.
I don't disagree, but we also have to have funding for them. And hopefully the Department of Workforce Development will work with us in getting that funding.
I'll work on that.
Any other questions from the public?
I would like to say thanks to Mr. Briles. He's been an asset to the police department and been very helpful on many occasions, different things that we've done together. And also a thanks to his staff at the school for helping out with the Abby Libby investigation and also providing tools and props and things for promotion. And they've been wonderful for us.
Like I said before, we're a community school and we're there to help as much as everybody else helps us. So,
Anything further? Thank you, Superintendent.
awesome.
Appreciate it.
If you ever have a question, my door is always open. All right? I would say that we do have a carnival coming up down on, I believe it's April the 29th at the elementary school. And I was approached about the Lions Club possibly utilizing a bouncy house. You know I have one? Oh, okay, they asked me about it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we'll move next to reading of minutes and approval. The first one we have is March 5th, 2018. Are there any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments to be made to that set of minutes?
I move for approval of the March 5th common council meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move next to the minutes from the March 20th special meeting. Are there any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments to be made to this set of minutes?
I move for approval of the special public meeting. The water presentation, is that what you referring to?
Yes, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move next to written and oral reports from committees, boards, commissions, and department heads. Chief Mullen, you provided a written report. Would you like to add orally?
I have really nothing to add other than the opioid fund is coming up tomorrow evening at 6:30 at the Opera House. Hope some of you can come be in attendance to that and see how it goes. You can see the statistics that I have listed here. I think all of you have that. It's been a fairly busy month. You guys have done a lot. And probably have some numbers to add to that since this was formulated before the end of the month. So that's all I have unless you have questions.
Any questions for the chief?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Superintendent Myers, anything you'd like to add?
The only thing that wasn't on the written report was the total gallons. We pumped 28,584,000. IPC used 22,763,000. Well 7, they're going to be pump testing that starting tomorrow morning for a 24-hour test.
How big of a pipe well is that, Craig?
16 inch.
16 inch?
Materials for the well 3 to well 1 connection will be ordered this week, and F&K will be getting started on that the next couple weeks. Is there any questions?
All right, thank you, Superintendent. Superintendent Lyons?
I do not have anything to add. Are there any questions on the written report? I guess I will tell you that hopefully maybe this week, beginning of next week, we'll get the restrooms open up in the parks. I'm still playing with weather. Those bathrooms are all blocked, so if anything freezes, I don't want too much damage. So, but we're getting pretty close. So maybe this week or beginning of next week, I'll try and get the restrooms open in all the parks.
Crack ceiling?
Crack ceiling was supposed to have started last week, but the weather put them behind, and this, obviously, with 4 inches of snow yesterday, also put them behind. I haven't got word from them when their next attempt to coming in town is gonna be.
Any questions for the superintendent?
Yes, behind the low-income housing back here, behind O'Bear Overholser, Huffer and Ryder's building, there are 6 55-gallon drums that are tagged as non-hazardous material, and they've been out there for some time. Do you have any idea what that's about?
I can only assume that they're from the company that did the environmental on the building off of Main Street. It used to be the dry cleaners back there where they did the wall, the work back there on the wall. They did some boring samples and everything. Apparently at some point that was a dry cleaners way back in the day. And they were doing some environmental work. They actually did some of that during Stellar. I was not aware there's actually drums back there, so that means that probably get them back.
They've been there for quite a while. You can tell the bottom's rusted and it's marred up the sidewalk that way. But
I had contact with an individual a year and a half ago. I will see if I still have a number, because I don't remember the name of the company.
well, it might be on the tag.
ECA Environmental.
ECA Environmental.
BCA or DCA?
E as in boy.
There's tags on them, so that information, the contact information may be on those tags.
Okay, I'll take a look at it and see if we can get them removed.
When you say you're filling potholes, is that mainly on the streets?
Yes, we've done some alleys, stone in some alleys. The alleys, I'll put stone in it. We prefer to grade them versus just adding stone. We add stone and then the stone simply comes back out. We have done the streets as well as a few alleys that we got to use.
Any further questions for Superintendent Lyons? Thanks, sir. Superintendent Van Sickle?
The only thing to add to the report, we had a new meter base installed at the Armory Road lift station. That was in conjunction with Duke running new power cable. I think I mentioned that the last meeting. Disinfection season started, so turned the gases on over the weekend. Did our first E. coli test today, so I'm pretty confident in everything. The only thing I really want to mention is we got the new pumps for the Cottage Street lift station upgrade. They came in Friday, along with the control panel, so as soon as I hear from the people that are going to do the work, we'll get it going. Questions?
Thanks, Superintendent. I didn't have time Friday to get mine down. I was all over the place last month. As you know, I was sicker than a dog. The city council meeting, I apologize, I couldn't make it last month. We had the Semi-Milroy Utility Coordination meeting so that we can get some final plan sets developed so that when funding does become available, we can get that project up and going. I presented at the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, State of the Cities, Towns and County. Attended the RDC meeting last month and let them know what's going on with the water and invite them to our meeting on the 20th. I had 2 neighborhood meetings, people in Heritage, Addition, and Armory Road, as well as Water Tower Place and US 421 south of Armory Road. Had 9 people there. It's better than some neighborhood meetings I've had. It's worse than others. We had a meeting of the Emergency Management Advisory Council, still trying to get a job description approved through the commissioners so that we can get the applications, or actually get the job description advertised so we can get the applications back. There's a new code official from the Department of Homeland Security, came in and introduced himself. At our Board of Works, March 19th. Attended the Larry DeBoer seminar on the agricultural land impacts. And Clerk Treasurer Aldrich and President Pro Tem Pearson were there. It was pretty interesting. Met with Julia Leahy regarding trail security grant. We had the water meeting March 20th. I visited Crawfordsville and Greencastle, met with the mayor of Greencastle, just trying to figure out how they took advantage of their stellar projects and what they're doing and what's on the horizon. We should have sent letters to all the property owners abutting anywhere where we were doing crack sealing, so they should know. I think we sent those they should have gotten last Monday, so it may be a little delayed now. That's about the gist of it. You guys have any questions for me or for the department heads? All right. Councilman Seward, anything from the APC?
Yes. We're still, have you got an appointment for that yet?
I contacted more individuals this month.
Okay. We're working on finalizing, and again, this isn't for Delphi as much, but we're working on finalizing the rabbit and chicken ordinance for Yeoman, it'd be Yeoman, Camden, and Burlington, mainly for 4-H'ers and people like that. And we're looking at putting together a $5 annual renewal fee for that particular project. We approved Kingsland Hollow subdivision application for certification, and that's going to be a small subdivision down around Piermont. Two things that I need to get input on, or at least going to put it out there for input, either from the public or from the council, since I represent you all. We are speaking and talking about a possibility of putting in roadside signs on country roads, like billboards and things like that. So we're looking at that potential, which encompasses different sizes and where to put them and stuff like that, if it's even going to go. So anything the public has, or the council about that. And also another project, Doug's been contacted by some people. I have no idea who they are, but they called and asked about wind and solar panel or solar power throughout the county. So if anybody has anything to give to me on that, advice-wise or position-wise, I would be glad to take it. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilman. Any questions for Councilman Seward? All right, move next to Councilman Shockley, the community center.
Yeah, we have a tentative date for construction completion. That's April 16th. That's not saying it will be done, but if we get a hold of the gas company, where we can take and get those pipes checked and get the gas turned on, we'll be able to finish the wall in the new office area. They're going to seal the floor either tonight or tomorrow night, and that door, the first door, will be locked, because that has to have at least 2 days to dry. All of the doorways, all the doors are in, knobs, locked, all that stuff's in. Well, right now we're working on the counters, or on the cabinets. We're putting the trim around the top of the cabinets. We finished one of them up today. Bill and I will probably, if everything goes right, we'll have that finished tomorrow, or we'll be well down the road with it tomorrow. And then once the floor is done in the office area, the rest of the trim work will be done with the day after that. We're hoping to shoot for Saturday to be able to take and finish that room out. But we don't know for sure when the gas company will show up so we can finish the wall in there. Other than that, things are going pretty well. All of the doors, around all the doors and windows have all been caulked. The trim around all the floors, except for that office area, have been caulked. The trim on the floor, as well as on top, has all been caulked all the way around the floors. We finished up all the nail heads that we could finish today, and we're well on our way to, we're waiting on countertop. When they come in, we'll cut the countertop, put the sinks in them, and then put the countertops on. Hopefully, they'll be in this week, the latter part of this week, or not, then maybe the first part of next week they'll be in. But we're gonna get them put in just as soon as they arrive. We'll be working on that. And then that'll be the last of the construction work inside. Then, like I say, it could be, our tentative date is the 16th, and we're gonna try to meet it. We're gonna work our tails off to try to meet that date. And I got to thinking, we broke ground the 28th of April of last year. Of course, we had to wait on front doors. That was the mess. Anyway, to make a long story short, if we come in with the construction work done on the 16th, we will have 12 days less than a year putting the building, inside of the building together. And I think that's quite an accomplishment for volunteers. We've had a real good bunch of volunteers come in and paint and do different things, and I will have to take my hat off. We have had a real good bunch of volunteers. It just goes to show you that if you put your mind to it, you can get things done. And I thank all of you for being patient with us.
That thing's gonna be done by the 16th.
I hope.
That thing's gonna be done.
Do we have any questions for the councilman?
I got a parks thing.
What's that?
I got a parks thing.
Okay, yeah.
Jane,
Bill's passing those out for me because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to be here tonight, and I wanted to give you an update on what's happening with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. As you can see by the flyer, we're going to have summer rec this year, and we're going to have it from June 11th to June 22nd, Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. We have employed Chris Landis to be the director again this year. But what we decided to do is send out this flyer to all the elementary and middle school kids and then have them sign up for what activity they wish to participate in. So you can see from the flyer on Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll have like craft days, and then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we'll just have individual and groups sporting events. And we're going to try to have a couple of field trips, one to Prophetstown for a day of swimming. We'd like to have a tennis camp. We'd like to have a kite flying contest, so we have some different things other than the normal activities that will be going on in Raleigh Park. And we're hoping that people will sign up early so we will know how many kids want to participate. Last year we had like 12. So we're hoping that we have a lot more this year and we can plan, be better prepared in what we're offering. So we'll have 2 sign-up dates, April 11th in the evening here at the City Building, and April 21st is a Saturday in the morning. So hopefully parents would come and mark down what activities they want and sign up their kids, and then we'll know ahead of time. We had a really good turnout for our first winter break activities that we did over Christmas break. We had open swim, open gym, and we had a movie night. So everything was sponsored by different activities were sponsored by the kids at the school. We're going to repeat that again this year, and we're also going to try to do something in the fall. So we're just trying to expand more activities throughout the city for kids and offer more opportunities. So that's what we're up to right now.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Abbott?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item of business I have is proposed ordinance 2018-3, read by title alone, an ordinance regarding short-term rentals within the city of Delphi. The last meeting, proposed ordinance, I think it was 2017-19 or 21, regarding short-term rentals. It failed on third reading. It was 2017-20. So the proposed ordinance that's in front of you, this takes into account House and Rural Act 1035, which puts some restrictions on municipality or town or county's ability to regulate short-term rentals such as Airbnb and others like it. But what we would need to do today, because we're starting this process over, is that we have to send it to the Area Planning Commission for recommendation, have them send it back to us, and then we can proceed with first reading, second reading, and third reading. So this isn't even first reading of this ordinance. I was just hoping we could have some discussion on it and hopefully get it sent over to the APC with any changes that the council desires. Is there any discussion regarding proposed ordinance 2018-3?
The biggest thing that came up to me from the sheriff and different people in the community was the ability to know, even historically, who had stayed in some of these places. And I'm not sure I see that on there. Is it on there and I'm not seeing it?
It's not within the proposed ordinance. I believe City Attorney Martin drafted a memorandum about signing into, or how you, I guess, get an account with Airbnb or similar sites.
To answer your question, Councilman Stewart, no, it is not in there.
Okay.
There was not specific, there was nothing proposed as far as how to address that issue, though that concern has definitely been brought up, I would agree. The only real addition that was made was addressing the fee and the renewal fee, which is on page 3, number 8, which has been left blank. So I would suggest that council address that before sending it to APC, and let me know if there needs to be an edit to address what Mr. Seward just mentioned. And I apologize, the kind of checklist I sent is very informal. I just went through, and as if I myself was booking an Airbnb, I wrote out step by step. It's not pretty. I kind of made it look a little nicer, but that's generally the process. So that's all the requirements in an account, the information that they have to verify. And so I don't know if that answers that question, or if you would like to propose an additional requirement within the ordinance.
I guess I looked up, I went through a couple different cities, Crawfordsville, Evansville, some of the larger municipalities in Indiana, somewhere up in Lake County, whether it's Hammond or Gary, at their rental registries. Now that's something different because these are short-term rentals. But within those ordinances, I couldn't find anywhere where it requires the tenant, the name of the tenant to be registered with this municipality. So generally what it was is a property owner, a landlord had to register all the addresses that they had rental properties, but I couldn't find within any of the ordinances where they required the names of the tenants to be registered with the city.
I'm not aware of any requirement or any formal application process wherein landlords do retain that information. But if the council would like to treat this differently, just let me know and I can edit the ordinance.
I don't know why we would wanna do that, I mean.
Well, merely because it was brought up, I'm just.
Well, I understand,
yeah.
but I'm saying it would just be, I'm sure when they register with the Airbnb, they give their name and information.